Hello, and welcome to Breathworks with Joy. It's such a beautiful spring day. I thought I'd bring our practice outside. And what perfect time to celebrate the 5 elements of nature: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So I wanted to share 5 poses that we can do to connect to these 5 elements that are not only external of us, but they're also within us. So to begin, let's tap into the first element of earth. And one of the quickest ways to find that sense of grounding is to come into Shavasana, where we completely surrender our bodies into the support of the earth. So I like to start with my knees bent. That way, when I lower down, I can kind of just lift my hips and let the flesh of my buttocks move down towards my heels. Then releasing my legs so that the pinky side of my foot relaxes out, palms to face up, and head just lightly surrendering into the support of the floor. Let's take an audible exhale here. And as we exhale, just allowing that to kind of wash over us as we yield with gravity into the support of the ground. And at the same time, feeling the earth element through the ground rise up to meet us, to hold us wherever we're at right now. And if possible, just letting the heaviness and the weight of the body soften just a little bit more, and encouraging the tissue surrounding the bones to relax and release just a little bit more. Aware that the breath is breathing us. Acknowledging the comings and goings of thoughts through our mind. And yet we still return to this sense of grounding our awareness into our bodies and releasing into the support of the floor beneath us, the element of earth that is stable and grounding. And alive. Then inviting our thumbs to touch our first fingers as earth meets water. Thumb to second finger as earth meets fire. Thumb to third finger as earth meets air. Thumb to fourth finger as earth meets ether. We can wiggle our toes. And as if awakening for the first time today, extending our arms overhead, taking a big yawn, stretching out through the whole face, and then rolling onto our sides with the head heavy and working our way upright, where we'll come into Uttanasana Konasana, as if our legs were dragonfly wings extending out from the pelvis as we come into our second element of earth. Oh, I just said that, of water. So coming from the earth into water. And water, I like to think of our pelvic bowl here, right? And in our pelvic bowl, between our hips, we want to keep this bowl mobile, right? Adaptable, flowing, flexible. So let's interlace our hands and begin to stir this bowl, if you will, this bowl of fluid as we bring some fluidity in between our hips and also into our shoulder girdle at the same time here. I'm staying very active and grounded through the earth element of my heels, my calves, and the backs of my thighs, hugging the muscle towards the bone, so I'm stable through the lower half of my body as I bring some mobility into my upper body, in between my hips. One more in this direction, and then let's reverse it. Noticing any sensation you might be feeling, whether this feels welcoming or perhaps a little uncomfortable, and adapting as needed, right? Maybe slowing this rotation down. Perhaps extending out even lower towards the ground or staying more upright. So meeting the needs that are alive in your body at this time. And as we complete this rotation, let's just pause and take a breath. And we're going to take a little forward fold as we anchor in through the earth element coming into the water element. I'm going to bring my elbows to the ground. Now, for those of you that might need maybe a book or a yoga prop underneath your elbows to support you here, please do so. We can rub our hands together, creating some heat, which we'll be moving into next, and then supporting our sense of sight. I'm going to take my hands and cup them over my eyes and just let the weight of my head, the weight of my thoughts release, and feel that support through the palms down into the elbows, allowing my eyes to sink back into their sockets and turn downwards, feeling at the same time the stability through our legs. And if this pose feels like it's beginning to create more tension in the body, you can always adapt by releasing the hands down and coming out of the pose slightly to where you feel like you can gently and softly connect to the breath. Dropping the weight of our sits bones even deeper. Softening the belly, opening the heart, head buoyant. Wherever you are in this last cycle of breath, and as you complete your exhale, we'll walk our hands in. Scoop up our knees as we come into our third pose, connecting to the element of fire. So I'm going to turn profile here as I guide us into Navasana, the element of fire, right? That sense of intention or willpower, dedication. It's the tapas, right? That inspires us to commit whatever we're committed to. So maybe we're going to bring one leg up. Maybe we'll bring both legs up. Maybe we'll alternate. So again, adapting to what your needs are for today. But challenging ourselves at the same time, right? Finding that balance between effort and ease. And I like to just bring some of that heat, that fire, so it radiates out through the heart. For some of you, you may be able to extend your arms, and I'm taking my gaze over my toes, drawing my inner knees and inner thighs towards one another, perhaps starting to feel the heat building. Are you able to stay with the breath? I'm going to bring my back hand to my front hand as I spiral, a little oblique action here, right into the core of my body, intensifying this boat pose just a little bit more. I'm beginning to shake. And when I shake, I like to remind myself of what the Hatha Pradipika says. Shaking is unevenness leaving the body. So the best way out is through, not ignoring. If we want to get stronger, we have to commit. And here we go. Opening my arms, I'm going to bring my front arm to my back arm, but balancing that out also, knowing when is it time to release, to surrender, and just be willing to adapt to how the body is responding today without over pushing so that we don't create any harm. Here we go. Take one more breath. My gaze is right over my thumbs. Lifting my heart just a little bit more. Oh my gosh. Come back through center. Hang in there. This boat is going down. We're going in the water. Here we go. So I'm going to bring my hands to the backs of my legs. I'm going to relax my knees just a little bit. I'm going to gaze towards my belly, chin to my chest, and I'm going to lower myself onto my back. I'm actually going to rock and roll so I have a little bit more space here. And if you want to rock and roll, that's always fun. Rocking and rolling. It's a great massage for the spine, the erector spinae. And then coming down so that we align our heels underneath our ankles underneath our knees in line with our hips. And from here, placing the hands down. So we're going to begin to move into our fourth element, the element of air, residing within that heart center area. And I want you to imagine as we inhale, right, the breath literally filling up our lungs and nourishing the heart as it pumps that saturated blood full of prana, oxygen through the body and all the way back up. So here we go. Anchoring into the tripod of our foot, we're going to lift our hips skyward, puffing up my heart. I'm going to extend my right arm over my head, and I'm going to roll onto the side of my left skull. So rolling onto the side, I'm looking down towards my left shoulder. And then I'm going to roll back over the back of my skull to center, lower my right arm down, inhale and exhale as I roll through the spine. Now I'm going to repeat that with my left arm now lifting up, so lifting the hips, puffing up the heart area, extend the arm, left arm overhead, roll to the right side of your skull, looking down toward your shoulder, roll back over to center, lower the arm, and release the hips. And let's do that one more time. Coming up into our bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sharvadasana, reaching the arm, right arm overhead, roll to the left side of your head, and then back through center. Lowering the arm, maybe lift the hips a little higher before releasing one vertebra at a time. And then lifting the hips last round, left arm overhead, looking to the right. Coming over the back of the skull as we lower the arm and lowering down one vertebra at a time. We're going to take our bridge pose one last time. So anchoring through the feet, if we have to adjust them, please do so. And then drawing the hips back up. I'm going to walk my shoulder blades towards one another so my hands are to the inside of my ankles. I'm squeezing at the back of the heart, my pericardium. For those of you that can interlace your hands, you might choose to do that as you press your triceps, the backs of your arms into the ground, and extend through the knuckles of your hands. Try and soften the belly so you can breathe fully and deeply. Perhaps even hearing the sound of the breath as it comes in and out through your nostrils. Last cycle of breath here. And then extending the arms up towards the sky as we roll down one vertebra at a time. And then taking a moment to give yourselves a hug And as you give yourselves a hug and you hold those legs nice and deeply into your abdomen, perhaps this is an opportunity to have a moment of loving kindness towards yourself. And then you might choose to rock back up or just roll onto your side and use your hands to help you as we come into an easy sitting pose, Sukhasana. And as we come into Sukhasana, we're going to explore this final element, the fifth element of ether, the vastness of spaciousness. And we're going to do so also through sound. So we're going to hum the syllable him, like little bees buzzing right behind your lips and into your sinuses. And we're going to modify this by rubbing our hands together. And we're going to place them over our ears in the same way that we place them over our eyes. And we're going to do 3 rounds of extending the exhalation for as long as you can without creating any tension. Humming the syllable, something really yummy. So you might think of something perhaps related to nature that just makes you go, and holding that in your mind's eye as we hum. And on the completion of your last hum, we're going to release our palms to face up onto our thighs, acknowledging any sounds that may be around us. And can we find that in all sounds? Allowing ourselves to be here, now, in stillness, and perhaps in silence. We can bring the thumb to touch the first finger as earth meets water. Thumb to second finger as earth meets fire. Thumb to third finger as earth meets air. Thumb to fourth finger as earth meets ether. And then bringing all 10 fingers to touch as the palms come into that gesture of balance of the heart. Balancing the elements within us